You might find yourself in a situation and you're asking yourself a question. Like maybe you find yourself in addiction and you're asking yourself, what am I doing here? Or maybe your marriage is like falling apart and you get a quiet space and you're just like, what am I doing here? Or maybe you've just kind of wandered from faith, wandered from the Lord, and you find yourself asking yourself that question, what am I doing here? Well, God asked the same question of a man in the Bible in 1 Kings named Elijah, who was a prophet of God living in Judea. And God asked him that question, what are you doing here? And that was right after he had this great victory over a bunch of prophets, false prophets, occultist prophets of Baal, and on the Mount Carmel. And he finds that he starts to run for his life when the queen, who was like the wicked witch of the West, was after him. I'm going to kill him. And so he's running for his life, and he finds himself up a mountain in a cave. Some say it was the very same mountain that in the same spot, maybe even that Moses was in when God spoke to him. Perhaps. He was running for his life, and here it says that God asked him this question. Starting in verse 9 of chapter 19 of 1 Kings, it says this, and there he came to a cave, and he lodged in it. And behold, the word of the Lord came to him, and he said to him, what are you doing here, Elijah? He said, here's Elijah's answer. I've been very jealous for the Lord, the God of hosts, for the people of Israel have forsaken your covenant, thrown down your altars, and killed your prophets with the sword, and I, even I, only am left. And they seek my life to take it away. And God said, go out and stand on the mount before the Lord. And behold, the Lord passed by, and a great and strong wind tore the mountains and broke in pieces the rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. After the wind, there was an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, there was a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, the sound of a low whisper. And then when Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in his cloak, and he went out and he stood at the entrance of the cave. And behold, there came a voice to him and said, what are you doing here, Elijah? So God actually asked the question twice, maybe to let it sink in. Has he ever asked you, what are you doing here? Like, have you wandered so far off the path that you don't even realize it anymore? Elijah was in a self-pity party. He was just kind of, woe is me. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. I'm the only one left. He actually didn't even have all the facts straight. He thought he was the only one serving God in the country. Woe is me. Nobody understands. And God corrects his misinformation, says, Elijah, you got no idea. And sends him on his way. Gives him a new commission. Gives him a new calling. Excuse me. And I was thinking, are you in a cave, so to speak, where you don't even know what's going on? Like, are you in a cave where you don't have all the facts straight? You're not seeing clearly, maybe moping around in your circumstances so that you're feeling like nobody cares about you, nobody understands, nobody knows, nobody's as righteous as you are. God might have a question or two for you. Get quiet, listen. It might not be in the thunder, and it might not be in the fire, it might not be in the earthquake or the wind. It might be in a still small voice. But again, God doesn't ask questions because he's seeking information. He's asking questions of us to help us, to have a bit of revelation. And I believe when he asks a question of us, there's great hope because he's the one who's going to enable us to understand and to, in fact, answer the question. if he's asking us, what are you doing here, son? Or what are you doing here, my daughter? He will give you also the revelation that you need to get out of the situation that you're in. So what kind of question might God be asking of you today? Might he be asking you, where are you? Like he asked Adam. Might he be asking you, what is your name? Like he asked Jacob. And that's about your identity. What is your identity wrapped up in? Or maybe he's asking you, what are you doing here? And it's interesting because the emphasis on the syllables, or the emphasis on a particular word, is also important. Like, it changes the meaning of the question a little bit. If he says, what? And he emphasizes what? What are you doing here? Or, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? So listen carefully to what God is asking of you today. Pay attention and ask God, do you have a question of me today, Lord? Do you have a question for me?